Hey guys, what's up? You're growing. All right, so what are we working with today? Our Golden Pothos. So sometimes some people call them pothos, pothos, whatever you want to call it, okay? That's what we're gonna go with. So I'm gonna say mine is a Golden Pothos. All right, so what's going on? Well, this was a plant that I bought about 6 months ago, and when I bought it, it was fuller than this. What I had this genius idea of, I was gonna put two plants together and make a jumbo plant. Epic fail. Yeah. It did not go the way I needed it to go. I put the two plants together and slowly but surely they just started dying. I don't know what happened. Didn't snap any main roots. I put them in there together. I planted it like I always have, and it just didn't get me the results that I wanted. So I separated them back again. One of them did very poorly, and the other one did this. So my guess, since I had two inside of one, pot's just too big, and the pot is trying to focus on filling itself up with roots right here at the bottom. It does not have root rot. That's one good thing. And most of the time it does run with its leaves looking very, very, let's get close to it so you can see. So that's what dehydrated leaves look like. As you can tell, there's no yellowing, so there's no signs of overwatering. Since they're still just like this in this state, they still could be revived with a little bit of water. But again, I don't put a lot of water inside this plant because I knew that this pot was just simply too big. So I knew if I try to water this whole pot, it is gonna cause some type of root rot. But neglect is neglect, however way you wanna put it. And the fact is that by me not being able to fully hydrate this plant, it means this plant is going without water. What we're gonna do is repot it. I will not know what size pot I need until after.
Wow!
So let's get ready to repot this Golden Pothos. I do not know what size pot I need. I know I need to go down, but I won't know for sure until after I get in here and to be able to determine what size pot's gonna be best. So what I did was I just took 3 different pots in which I think it could be any different sizes. This is about I would give this a 5.5 to a 6 inch. This is about a 6 inch, just laid in a different way. And this is about an 8 inch. If I had to pick and choose which one it's gonna be between these two sizes. But again, we won't know until after we get in here. As always, few things that we like to do before we repot, right? We like to go ahead and get all of our tools together, even the ones that we don't even think that we're gonna need. I just grab them all and keep it moving, because the last thing you wanna do in the middle of repotting is starting to look for stuff. It makes it a lot worse than what it needs to be. Repotting is already stressful. The last thing you need to do is be looking for your stuff. And I don't know if you're like me, you get sidetracked. So let's just stay focused. All right, so let's just go ahead and get started with what we need. We have some gloves, optional. Gloves to be able to do our finishing cleaning, optional. Next, we have our mat to be able to put our soil on, clean up mess. We have our zip ties because we never know what we may have to put on something or move things around. We just never know. Recently, I started using graphing tape. Never know, we may or may not need it. Of course, we have our pots so we can repot it. I keep our tray right here. Last episode or the episode before that, remember when I got ready to water, I realized I didn't have a pot and it just made a mess. So I made sure I have one today. And of course we have our soil right here and fertilizer. And recently, over the last 3-4 weeks, I've been heavily using the Super Thrive mixed in with water. I already have it poured in. It's just a little bit of 4 ounces inside here. Keep it moving. Okay. All right, so let's go. All right, again, gloves are optional. I like to wear gloves because I don't like to get dirt under my fingers. Let's just put this right here for right now. you all have already seen all my supplies that I am going to be using, just for the sake of space. So you can see I'm just going to move my soil over here, but we know it's there. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're just gonna go around the edges and we're gonna make sure we loosen some things up. And here we go. We have a few healthy roots, but let's just see what we can do and can't do here. And getting everything kind of broke up and together. What was inside of here? Complete waste. The water did cause it to rot inside of there with the root. Luckily enough, it didn't affect the plant too much, but the plant was definitely stressed, and I am glad that we're taking the time to get in here today. Right here in this pot. Now, so that's one piece right there. And I don't want to do it piece by piece, I really don't. But if that's what it's gonna take to really get in here. Alright, so while we're in here, I'm just going through here and just cleaning some of the things that I'm seeing and not seeing. So some of this plant started growing back because it was like this inside the pot. Some of these roots are coming down here, so I want to make sure when I repot it that I do have those roots down there. Or at least make sure I repot it all the way up to those roots, because that is going to be very important. Because with this plant, with a lot of these roots already being missing, any type of roots that I can keep, I need to keep. So I just see something crazy. If I see something crazy like just a string that's just hanging out loose like that, I just cut it back. Go. Another piece of that's a good one right here. So we're getting some really good pieces out of here so far. And I'm just kind of getting them lined up for how I'm going to plant them. And we're keeping this whole plant. We're just getting it back tamed again. It just kind of went crazy. I mean, I would have went crazy if I would have been in this pot looking like this too. I would have. And the way that it's looking, the way I'm going through this plant, is looking like they put a whole bunch of clippings together to make a plant. The soil, as in what they was using, was not a bad mixture. It really wasn't. It was me, the user. So I think that I'm actually going to reuse this again. So we're going to use a little bit of my soil mixed in with what I do have, because I just don't want to waste this. But I prefer to use all of my soil, because my mix, I know exactly how long it should take for the water to be able to go through. I have a lot of my plants, or most of my plants, are using the same exact mix in here, except for my monsteras, which I use a tropical mix that we talked about before. But things with my pothos and my philodendrons, for the most part, I use the same airy soil that I created, just a nice little chunky mix. Again, it's so I can keep it all on the same watering system, and so that it kind of just filters through a little bit faster. I don't have to worry about water retention as much, which is less prone to root rot. Especially when they go over into my corner over there. I have a philodendron and a pothos just trailing plant rack over there. You know what, I'm gonna go ahead and show you, because sometimes I forget. Now what we're gonna do, now since I took these out, let's see if this pot size work. I think that could be a good one. Let's take a look at this one. This one will be even better. Make sure I get all of these pretty much on the same thing. Yep. So what do I have in here? It's just my chunky mixture. You can see that pretty good, but you'll see the orchid bark, the perlite in the soil. And these are the roots that we're working with for the plant itself. All right, so without further ado, let's go ahead and pour that mix in there. And then just mix some of that in, and then I'm gonna go ahead and just take that out. All right, as always, when I do a repot, I like to go ahead and put some fertilizer in here. All right, so let's start. we're gonna put our soil down here at the bottom, right? We're gonna definitely use my mix more though, because it's a little bit chunky, little area. We're gonna put this in here. I'm gonna fill up to about there, and then I'm gonna just do a little test to kind of see, hey, how far is this gonna be able to go once I get it inside of here, and go from there, okay? Let's take a look. Our fertilizer. I always put it like that because I feel like it's doing something. Okay. Next, we drop our plant inside of here. Make sure all its roots are in there. Have some hanging out the side. We don't want that. Here now, we go ahead and start filling this pot up. That didn't take long at all. All right, so now, after we get in here, what we're gonna go ahead and do is a tap method, okay? And we do our tap method because we just wanna make sure that the soil, or whatever it is that you're using, your leca, I think they use this stuff called pond, even if you're using perlite, whatever. Whatever you're using, we wanna tap it because we just wanna make sure it gets evenly around these roots, and it kinda helps get our plant a little settled in too. Now, when we put water into here, the plant may rotate and may move just a little bit, but for the most part, we just wanna make sure that it's sturdy and to our liking, right? Usually some people are like that, some people aren't. That's just me, my preference, I have that. All right, so now it's time for the water. Remember, we used our Super Thrive mixed in with water. Put about 2 drops in here. Let me read it for you. It's 1 drop per 4-ounce cup. This is a 16 ounce, so we'll use about 3 drops. I eye it. That's what I do. So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna give it a good watering. Now, for some reason, I don't have success when I completely drench my plant. I don't. So as soon as I start seeing the water pouring out the sides like crazy, I'm gonna stop. See, I already see some water coming. And it's just gonna take this time kind of getting around. All right, so we just repotted our Golden Pothos, or Pothos, however way we wanna call it. We just repotted it. And I would say out of a level between 1 to 10, 1 being easy, 10 being difficult, this was definitely a 1 to a 2. Pothos and philodendrons are always so easy. What I want to do over the next couple of days is just keep an eye on it, make sure it's not regressing, make sure we don't have a whole bunch of yellowing leaves, make sure that the soil is kind of drying out. That can happen sometimes when I mix in soils together, that I know what mine's going to do, but theirs may not do it. But again, their soil that they used was pretty good, so I'm not going to waste good soil. That's just me. All right, that's a wrap. Thank you for being here. I mean, anytime I do a repotting experience, it's always an experience. I'm glad now that I'm capturing it to be able to share with you. Some repots, they come out really good. Some of them, they've came out pretty bad. So again, thank you so much for being here, taking the time to watch me repot my Golden Pothos. We just wanted to downsize it because our pot was just too big, and we got rid of a couple of things that was kind of dead, that was funky, that was going on. We just downsized it to a smaller pot, and that's gonna allow our roots to kind of link up together and kind of bind and flourish. All right, so thank you so much for tuning in with me today on us repotting our Golden Pothos. Hopefully the steps that I've shown to you was very simple. If you have a question, if you have a comment, a suggestion, anything, please leave it in the comment section. As always, like, subscribe, and again, as always, when you're growing with Sean, there's always something to learn.